AITA for filing a police report against my nephew? My mom has late-stage Alzheimer's and has been unable to manage her money and needs around-the-clock care. It probably would be safer to put her in a nursing home, but she made us promise to only do that as a last resort. Thankfully, she had a lot of investments and savings from my dad before he passed, so we can get her a hired personal carer in her own home. My sister is the one who lives the closest and visits her often, so she handles mom's finances. We give my sister $200 per month each for her to run errands and help look after mom since we both live out of state. My other sister called me to tell me there's been a lot of cash withdrawals recently on my mom's card. I check and there's nearly a year's worth of $3 minus $400s withdrawn. We call my sister who is handling finances and she is confused and says she never takes out any cash. She only pays bills with the bank card and uses CC for the groceries, etc. She freezes the bank card and I take a red eye over. Long story short, we asked the bank where the ATM withdrawal happened. My sister looks shocked when she Googles the location and realizes it's close to her son's school. We waited until the son got home and asked him where he worked, and he said a local restaurant. We said we would like to go with him to the restaurant to confirm he works there, and he got really panicked and said the management just changed so they wouldn't know him. I asked for his paycheck in. Finally he gives up and admits he doesn't have a job. My sister asked him where the money for the new stuff he bought home comes from, and he admits he steals the bank card to make cash withdrawals. I asked him where he got the pin, and my sister confessed she writes her pins on sticky notes so she doesn't forget them. Man facepalming. I take the bank statements and calculate out that he owns $14,308. I told him he has to pay it back now or I'm filing a police report on him for theft, and my sister begs me not to, saying if he has anything on his record he might not get into college. I told her I won't if she pays it, but she said she's struggling and doesn't have the money. She's a single mother. I told her that isn't good enough, and she complains her son is only 16 and doesn't know any better. I told her they won't put a 16-year-old in jail, but he might do it again when he's older, so it's better to learn his lesson now. She said we can just take that out of what her son's inheritance would be from our mom, and I yell at her that if our mom was in a state to judge she would write him out of her will for this. I call up my lawyer and ask what I should do, and he suggests filing a police report but not including my nephew's name just yet. I did just that, and my sister is screaming at me that I'm ruining her son's life by involving the police, and he's only a kid. I'm not happy about it, but at 16, if he's stealing from his own grandma who looked after him when his mom was sick, I can't imagine what he's going to do when he's older. NTA. Better to report it now when he's a minor than have him take the lesson that there are no consequences into adulthood. $14K is a lot of money. He needs to 1. Sell off everything he can that he bought, and 2. Get a job to start repaying that money. It's not all on his mother. NTA. Reading this turned my stomach. If my mother had caught me stealing money from any end-stage Alzheimer's patient, let alone my own grandmother, everything in my room would have immediately been sold. I'd have 2 jobs. And college wouldn't even be on the table as an option until I finished paying off my debt. 16 years old is old enough to know better, and the fact that he doesn't yet is raising serious red flags. This needs to be nipped in the bud now. Honestly, you were far more gracious than I would have been by keeping his name off the initial report. If your sister doesn't understand the severity of the crime he committed, she can't be counted on to enforce proportionate consequences. I'm sorry that it's fallen to you to deal with this. NTA. I'm a former adult protective social worker, and this is exploitation and a crime. If you are in the US and your mom needed a nursing home in the next 5 years, Medicaid, which pays for long-term care, audits the finances upon submitting an application. They could deny paying her bill until the amount that was stolen was paid back or paid by someone, the family, to the facility for that amount that was taken. He either needs to get a job and pay back every penny he stole or face the justice system. This behavior needs to have consequences. My sister did this when she was young and my parents did nothing. She now has multiple felonies for theft, identity theft and stealing credit cards. He needs to learn a lesson. NTA. I understand your sister's concerns, but 16 is old enough to know that stealing is wrong. Once is a mistake, but the repeated withdrawals shows he has no regard for anyone but himself. You left his name out of it for purposes of the police report, which was kind of you. Now the kid needs to A. Sell everything he bought with the stolen money, and B. Actually get a job and make a written payment plan to pay back his grandmother. As long as the terms of repayment are being fulfilled, his name stays off the police report. If he misses a payment and doesn't have a good reason for it, like he had to pay for an unexpected car repair or something, then he will be prosecuted. Actions have consequences, and it sounds like it's long past time for your nephew to learn this lesson. NTA. I find it telling that your sister is begging and crying, but your nephew has not tried to work out any restitution at all. He needs to get a job and start paying it back. I understand your sister not wanting his future ruined, but at the same time allowing him to not suffer any consequence will have ruined his future in the long run by showing him he can get away with it. I think you did the right thing. NTA. 16 is plenty old enough to know that stealing is wrong and over 14 grand is not a petty mistake. Follow your attorney's guidance and ask the lawyer what the statutes of limitation are for criminal and civil relief. You might be able to say, okay, kid, one chance, repay every dime by your 18th birthday and you can enter adulthood without a criminal record and without a civil judgment hanging over your head. If your sister is going to continue in her role in your mother's care, open a separate account that receives monthly transfers of only what's needed for the expenses in her stipend. She clearly can't be trusted to keep the larger account secure. NTA. If a 16-year-old doesn't know better than to steal from his grandmother, that's a huge parenting fail and completely on your sister. NTA. 14K isn't pocket change. He played a stupid game and he's getting his stupid prize. NTA. This isn't a teenage mistake or momentary lapse in judgment. Your nephew continued his theft over a whole year, even creating a cover story about getting a job and lying to his mom about his activities. If possible, it does seem like it would be easier and perhaps more effective to handle this without the police. Nephew needs to get a real job and pay the family back as soon as possible, even if that means no school extracurriculars or delaying college a while. He needs to start therapy immediately. This will only work if his mom is serious about holding him accountable. Sue. Restaurant industry person here. Make him get a restaurant job. The service industry was one of the very hardest hit by the last 2 years and we are struggling. Just about every restaurant in every town is hiring. Staffing has never been this difficult. Make him be a dishwasher. Go in and talk to the chef or the manager and give them the TLDR. Make him learn some damn work ethic until he's paid it all back. ETA. NTA. Responsibility matters. NTA. We're not talking a few dollars here and there. We're talking thousands of dollars. He knew full well what he was doing and how wrong it was. Your sister's reaction to this is probably a big reason in why he felt so comfortable doing this. And he needs to face the consequences of his actions. NTA. Actions have consequences and he needs to learn that at 16 so he doesn't do worse at 30. NTA. I'd say it's time for him to get a job for real and start paying grandma back his entire check. Until it's paid off. $14,000? That is a lot. You could probably buy a decent used car for that money. NTA. Not the asshole. Stealing from family is despicable. At 16. You know better than that. He will get worse with age if his behavior is not fixed right away. NTA. I would follow your lawyer's advice and proceed with a police report. It won't ruin his life, but it will put this on his juvenile record. If you don't and he has no consequences for his actions, then he will continue to take the easy way out and possibly prey on others. Take a deep breath, get yourself into a calm space, and sit him and his mother down. Explain that you have no desire to ruin his life, but you feel he must face consequences for his actions. He's a kid, so please don't hold this over his head forever, especially if he is remorseful and agrees to pay the money back and does so. NTA. He knew enough to lie. Therefore he knew what he was doing was wrong, and continued to do it anyways. This isn't someone who stole groceries because they were starving, or shoplifted toiletries because they were desperate. He stole from his family, and a woman who could not have protected herself. He stole for convenience, instead of actually getting a job. Shame on him. NTA. I felt guilty when I was 16 and stole $5 to $10 from my grandma's wallet and never did it again. This kid stole $14,000 with seemingly no remorse till he got caught. He needs to learn this behavior is not okay. NTA. It doesn't matter that he's blood. It doesn't matter that he's a minor. He's old enough to know what he's doing and why it's wrong. And he stole $14,000. Get his ass. NTA. He repeatedly took advantage of an elder who had once cared for him. Unforgivable.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.